Good morning, First United Methodist Church of Lawrenceville, and happy Father's Day. We are so glad to have you as part of our worship experience today as we celebrate dads and all that they mean to us.
I'm David Still, also known as Papa.
I'm Carter Still.
I'm Joseph Still.
We love hearing from you throughout the service, not like in the old days. Now we want to hear your comments. So please make sure to reach out and let us know that you're watching and enjoying the service.
Try to turn off distractions.
If you are new with us this morning, we want to extend a special welcome to you. Thank you for worshiping with us, and we are better because you are with us. If you would, please send us your email address and a private message, and we will send you a gift just for worshiping with us today.
Our church is a church that believes in prayer. So if you have any concerns or prayer concerns or praises, please let us know. You would want to reach out to our pastor, Deanne, and you can find her email on the website. But please reach out to her and let us know what your concerns are or your praises, because we want to lift it up in prayer.
The Taste of Camp meeting begins today. This evening, we will premiere our first campground worship service on Facebook and YouTube. Be sure you like our page on Facebook and follow our posts this coming week as we celebrate camp meeting in a totally new way. And we want to invite everyone to check out our campground prayer journey. You can register for a time slot to come participate in a guided prayer journey on our church website, and then imagine all the fabulous fried chicken.
So this weekend, we're going to begin worship service in person at the campground on Saturday evening and then Sunday morning. So we're so appreciative of the staff and everybody that's worked so hard to pull this off so that you can be in person, or if you wish, you can still watch online on Facebook or YouTube. And just make sure that you register if you want to sign up and be there in person, because we can only have a limited amount there, and we have some space for people to be in their cars to watch the service as well. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody in person or online.
Happy Father's Day, and let us continue with worship.
Good morning, First Methodist Church of Lawrenceville. We are so glad that you guys are joining us in worship today on Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Thanks.
And so today we are bringing back the dad joke competition. If you remember in 2019, whenever Adam and I first met, I won pretty easily.
Okay, all right, yeah. I like a good joke.
So we're back this year doing it again, having a dad joke competition. And so since I won last year, I'll give the award and let Adam go first this year. You're welcome.
Thank you. Hey, do you like Peter Pan? Do you know why he's always flying?
Because he never lands.
Because he never lands.
Stop pulling out jokes from 99.
Ooh. It's a good year.
It is a good year. What is yellow and kills you if it gets in your eyes? School bus. You're welcome.
That's not even that good. It's just so ridiculous.
Accurate.
Oh.
That's 1 point, Ryan, in case we're keeping track.
Hey, did I tell you that my wife asked me to stop singing Wonderwall? I said maybe.
I marked that one off on my list as not good enough.
Hey, how does a penguin build his house?
It glues it together.
It glues it.
It glues it. Sorry, I ruined your punchline. I really liked that one too. My wife asked me to go to the store to get 6 cans of Sprite. When I got home, I realized I got 7 Up.
Gross. Nobody likes 7-Up. No offense if you like 7-Up. Hey, so this is a quarantine joke. What did the juicer say to the orange during self-quarantine?
What?
Can't wait to squeeze you.
Nice. I like it.
That was a courtesy laugh.
Speaking of food, I met Bruce Lee's vegetarian brother today.
Yeah?
His name's Brocco Lee.
Since we're talking about vegetables, what does a nosy pepper do? gets jalapeno business.
I liked the accent. Man, the hipster next door drowned today. He went ice skating before it was cool.
Do you know how you weigh a millennial?
No.
In Instagrams.
Nice. I like that one.
Instagrams.
Since we're in quarantine, why was toilet paper rolling down the hill?
Oh, why?
Couldn't wait to get to the bottom. eBay is useless. I was trying to find a good lighter, and all they had was 847 matches.
Okay, I see what you did there.
You like that one?
Matches. If you have to explain it, it's not good.
Why is there an expiration date on anti-aging cream?
Why?
Just seems like a scam.
Yeah. Hey, if you tell dad jokes but you don't have any kids, are you a faux pas?
Yes. Solid. Use them all up.
This is your last shot.
This is my last shot. Which one do I go with? I can't remember which one to go with. Why did the man fall down the well? Because he couldn't see that well.
Couldn't see the well. It's pretty good. Well, these are our best dad jokes. We'd love to hear yours. Why don't you drop them in the comment section, and we can just keep the dad jokes rolling all day long. Happy Father's Day, guys.
Happy Father's Day.
I wandered through the darkness, wasting away. My soul was cold and hopeless, dead in the grave. It's like a river of life in a dry land, like a flicker of sight to a blind man. I saw the glorious light as it broke in. God of mercy and might, oh, you brought me back to life. You're the Lord of light, shining in the dark. You're the source of life, beating in my heart. You're the living hope, you're the risen Christ. You restored my soul, oh, you brought me back to life. The brilliance of your glory awakens my soul. You give me grace and mercy, I give you control. And like a river of life in a dry land, like a flicker of sight to a blind man, I saw the glorious light as it broke in. God of mercy and might, oh, you brought me back to life. You're the Lord of light, shining in the dark. You're the source of life,
One thing my dad always says is that early is on time.
And another thing he always says is pain don't hurt.
My daddy always says he loves me.
No, back when I was at your age.
Austin?
Did that hurt? Good!
Happy wife, happy life.
Oh, so right here we have a hydrangea bush.
My daddy always says, tough it up, cupcake. You get what you get and you don't put your fit. My dad always says, let's go to the park. My dad always says that we should have mandatory outside time.
Something my dad always says is nothing good ever happens after midnight.
My dad always says the more people he meets, the smarter he feels.
My dad always says, I love you. My dad always says, wash your hands.
One thing my dad is constantly telling us, always tells us, is, dude, you're killing me.
Something that my dad always says is that he's always right. Happy Father's Day.
Being speaks a magical fruit, the more he eats, the more he too. So every time I say no, I say at the end, and then my dad says, who's Noah? And I'm like, my dad always says this really stupid and dumb joke, but I always laugh at it, and he always says, is your face hurting? Because it's killing me. Sings like the song, pasta, fagioli, mozzarella. I don't know why, and he always sings songs about me, and it's, I don't know.
My dad always says behave. Daddy always tells me to be safe. Daddy loves me and he believes in me.
He'll just say, I meant to do that. He texts people, he uses voice to text, and usually in his voicemails he'll end up saying like, period.
Something my dad always says to me is, get up, you're fine.
Something my dad always says to me is everything from that fence to this fence belongs to me. My dad always says I want to go walking.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, Dad. We love you.
We love you, Dad.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, Daddy. I love you so much.
Can you blow a kiss?
Happy Father's Day. Something my dad always says is shaboom.
Good morning, I'm Bill Still, Director of Music. As we come to this time of prayer and offering, I would like to remind you that there are several ways of giving to the church. You can text FUMCLV to 77977 or through Bill Pay or Push Pay. You can also send your checks to the church's post office box or drop it by the church. We are so thankful to you because your generosity has ensured that the church can continue giving back to our community and helping so many during these dark days. Please bow with me as we go to the Lord in prayer. My God, our words fail us. The tragedies that have happened these past few weeks leave us breathless, speechless. But when we can't breathe or speak, the Bible gives us the words in the Psalms and the very words of Christ. My God, why have you forsaken me? My God, when will we learn that violence solves nothing? Father God, when we don't know what to pray, we take comfort that Christ intercedes for us. We know, O Lord, that you desire peace for us. Forgive us, Lord. Help us to love each other, to embrace our differences, and celebrate every individual as your child, acknowledging that they are our brothers and sisters. My Lord, we lift up to you the souls and families of all those who lost their lives and those injured in the recent civilian uprisings, as well as those affected by the aftermath. We seek and are comforted to know that your true justice will be the final word. Help us, your children, to lean on you and to seek your spirit of love as we reconcile in our minds and hearts these recent tragedies. O Lord, hear our prayer as we join together in the prayer that Jesus taught us, saying,
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Well, good morning, First United Methodist Church of Lawrenceville. Happy Father's Day. My name's Adam Hildebrand. I get to serve as the senior pastor of this great church. And this morning we're going to have a conversation. We've been talking about this most excellent way that we read about in 1 Corinthians 13, this concept that Paul introduces, the idea of love. But since it's Father's Day, I thought I would have a conversation with a couple of dads that I know and that you may know as well. The Beardens are one of the fantastic families in our church. 3 generation of Bearden boys hanging around First Methodist of Lawrenceville. You know, a couple of different groups where we've got 3 generations, but I thought we'd sit and talk to Andy and Buck for a few minutes and just kind of share some stories and talk about what it really means to be a dad and how we can be a dad in this moment, how we can love our kids well, our sons and our grandsons and our daughters, and just how we can be the best dads possible in these moments. Because I think kids need good male role models. That's one of the things that our young people need more than anything. They need male role models and mentors who love them well. So why don't you guys just introduce yourselves? Buck, let's start with you.
My name's Buck Bearden. Been in the church, I guess, since I was about 5. So when we first moved to Lawrenceville, the sanctuary was where you guys' office is now. So seen a lot of growth over the years. But I consider myself a lifelong Lawrenceville resident.
Tell me about your family.
I've been married to Jana for about 18 years. We have 3 boys. Jake's just turned 10. Asa and Luke, twins, just turned 7. So a lot of testosterone in the house.
Absolutely.
What is the favorite pastime in the Bearden household?
Probably wrestling, as they say.
Wrestling.
There's lots of wrestling goes on in our house. We always say that if the boys could go 30 seconds and not put hands on each other, that we would have accomplished something that day. But we've yet to have one of those days.
That's fantastic. Well, Andy, tell me a little bit about you.
Thank you, Adam. I'm Andy Bearden, father of Buck and another son, Adam Bearden.
Also a soccer player, though.
Also a soccer player,
Yes.
absolutely.
Compliment him on that.
Absolutely, a soccer player. And his Andrew, we call him Andrew, most people know him as Buck. We moved here in 1979 and immediately got involved with the Methodist Church and have been here ever since. And we always loved our family, and that's very, very special to Linda and I. And we've been married for 53 years next month.
Congratulations.
Linda is my lovely wife, so we've been married for 53 years.
That's incredible. Well, Andy, let's start with you. When you think of what it means to be a dad, what kind of words would you use?
Well, in fact, my wife Linda asked me that when she knew we were going to do this. And I said, well, I don't really need to script anything, but I remember as a child and as a young man, even before we were married and in our earlier years of marriage, I always said, I want to be a dad. It's just I guess, an inherent DNA in the Bearden gene that I wanted to be a dad. Not because I needed to possess anything, it's just a love that I wanted to have children. And it's just always been in my DNA, I suppose.
Yeah. What were some of your favorite parts about raising these boys and now grandkids as well?
Good question. And I've said this more than one occasion. You love all of the ages, but I guess my favorite age is when they were really infants, between 1 and 2 years old. Yeah. You love that dependency, so you could care for them. But between 1 and 2 is probably the favorite part, because now they're interacting with you and talking with you, and just doing things, interacting back as a child. And then as they grow into young boys and teenagers and now adults, you can't say there's a favorite time, but if you could say the real fun time is a 1 to 2 year old.
Because they're talking to you.
They're talking to you.
Back.
They're not talking back at you. So they pretty well accept what you do.
Well, Buck, talk to me about what it means to you when you think about what it means to be a dad.
Yeah, I think being a dad, especially in this day and age, it's about wearing different hats. you know, both men and women have to wear different hats in the world, but I think I found that being a dad is learning how to wear different hats and put those on when you need to. So you have your hat at work and certain roles and responsibilities there. You have your role as a husband, your hat there, but then your dad hat is a special one that you get to put on. So I think it's just learning how to have those different hats and to to wear them properly.
You've got younger boys. What are some of your favorite things about just being with them?
I think just being with them, like just doing life with them. You know, like Dad said, when you asked us to do this, I was trying to, mentally prepare for it, and the word that came to mind for me was present. Being a dad, to me, the most important thing you can be is present. I look back, growing up, my dad was always there. Like I knew at 5:30 to 6 every night he was coming home from work, and we were gonna have dinner and be together. So Dad was always there. And through my sports, Dad didn't really play sports growing up, but he was always at my events, and he coached a lot of my teams. Some of our favorite memories probably were in high school, coaching rec basketball or playing for Dad. Playing the last 2 years of rec basketball was a lot of fun and a lot of good stories there. So I think just being present is the most important and the most fun part about being a dad.
Yeah. Well, so I think all of the things you just said kind of fall under this category of what Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians 13, this idea of love, and says that this is the most excellent way to live, but I think it's the most excellent way to be a father. Like when you think about love and being a father, what does that bring to mind? What do you guys think when you hear that?
It's hard to express. It's just something when you say the word love, you can't fully describe it, but it's just there. And particularly when you have your own offspring or child, whether it be a young man or a young lady, is your family. It's just you can't really truly, I can't explain what it means, but just there, it comes deep within your heart, and know that they're part of me, and hopefully you've done a pretty good job of helping raise them and see them grow and prosper.
Buck, anything to add?
No, I guess pretty well sums it up. I mean, it's always putting the kids first. That's love. It's pretty much it.
I would like to add what Andrew or Buck had said just a moment ago about being present, and that was a very important part of our early marriage and our when Lynn and I first married. I had a promising career, but we actually changed careers before we had children because I wanted to be present when and if we had a family. My dad loved us beyond measure, but he was a working dad that was away from home quite a bit, and I said, if I can possibly have a career that will not keep me from being present. And so we did make a change in career, just so anticipating a family that we would be present, and that's been very important.
That's incredible because we see, I know both of you coached, you coached your boys, you coach your boys, and you've got so many kids that their families aren't present with them, and as coaches you end up being a part of their life in a special way. You get to mentor, you get to encourage, you get to step in where some people have to work and some people have a lot of other things going on, and that's okay. But our leadership as dads isn't just in our own house. It kind of expands out from there. And I know just spending time with you, Buck, that's something you really live out. Talk to me about that. Where did that come from?
I think just the example my dad gave to me, is that wanting to be there not just for my boys, but having a heart for others, for kids. Even before we had kids, we were married for a while before we had kids, and was doing lap one year, and there was a couple of youth that were on the team, and we formed a bond, and so they started in on me about being a youth counselor, and I ended up taking them up on it, and that was, looking back, that was a God thing. That was one of the best things that ever happened to me, and so doing that before we had kids, and so those kids in the youth group became my kids. I had my boys, that I ended up being several groups over the years, but there was one that I followed through for about 5 years, and to see where they're at today is pretty cool. But I think that helped, instill that heart that's there, and also to prepare me to be a better dad, being with those guys, because they taught me way much more than I taught them, and hopefully didn't mess them up too bad.
I know some of them. They're all right.
They're all right. Yeah, thankfully they had some other good influences.
Well, Paul talks about love, and the first two attributes he ascribes to it. He says, love is patient and love is kind. Where do you see those two things showing up being a father?
Patience is obviously a thing. Nothing's ever going to go 100% straight, and it shouldn't probably. So you have to be patient. Sometimes we lose our temper, but you've got to pull it back in and say, wait a minute, I need to be a little more patient. And then patience just segues right into being kind. I think those just have to go hand in hand with each other. Yeah. But patience and kind are the same kind of relationship.
Buck, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I think that patience was the other thing that kind of came to mind with me, with present, but being patient, and patience and kindness, they go hand in hand. There's days that maybe I'm not as patient as I should be, and when I'm not as patient, I'm certainly not as kind, and having to take a step back, like Dad said, and when mess up, because I am, and I do, and I will, and acknowledging that to the boys and saying, Dad lost a little bit right here. I'm sorry, and I think that's part of the kindness, is recognizing when we fall short. I think as a dad with the kids, is the kindness is owning up to when we fall short, is maybe one of the bigger acts of kindness that we can show them, because then they know that we're real, and that's showing them love.
Yeah, absolutely. You talked about it exactly the way that I often think about it, is two sides of the same coin. Patience and kindness just go together.
Yes.
I read one person that said, patience is God's attitude towards us, kindness is God's action towards us. And so that's that love of the Father that we get to live out. It's both of those things, and you're right. Sometimes we don't live up to that standard, and being able to admit that, and to help our kids see this most excellent way, this better way to live.
Yeah,
I think is incredibly important. How hard is that to do?
Some days more than others, but I'm reminded, this is where you look to your own dad and to God the Father. But as the boys do stuff, it reminds me of dumb things that I did or said, or acting like a horse's behind, and Dad's patience with me, because I can see now why he probably wanted to end me at times, and sometimes he probably would have been right for that. And so now, of course, the chickens come home to roost, and I see some of the same things with my boys, and I start to lose it, and it takes me back to some of those stories as a child. But with us, with our relationship with God the Father, He certainly is patient and long-suffering with us, so that it all ties together.
Buck, what are some of the attributes of your dad that you have hoped to embody, that you just kind of say that I hope I get to live up to that?
Well, first of all, those shoes I can't ever fill. Everybody that knows my dad, they're like, "Oh, you're Andy's son," you know, like everybody loves my dad, and rightfully so. Dad, I guess the thing that I would aspire to the most is to love people like Dad does. He has a heart for people, loves to talk to people. This is sort of a thing that we joke about in the family. We go out, "Oh God, who's he gonna talk to now?" Like my mom's over there, "Hey, those people really don't want to talk to him," you know. Dad'll talk to a rock because he loves people. Like he just genuinely loves them, and that would be the biggest thing, is I would be known for how I love people, which is what Dad does.
Andy, what are some of the things that you see in Buck that you're proud of as a dad?
I see him being just the word dad, and he is. And Lynn and I talk about that. Said Andrew, our son, is a true dad, and you can just see it. You don't have to write it down. You can just see it with he and the three boys, Jake and Luke and Asa. They're obviously we lose patience sometimes with each other, but when you can just see just the way he deals and handles with his three boys, it's just being a dad. It's just simply being a dad, and that just makes you proud, extremely proud.
Well, I know you get to spend a good bit of time with those three boys as well.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the things that you see in them that you say, "Man, I'm so excited to see what they're going to do in this world"?
Just to see them, as we talking about Jake, Luke, and Asa, and then when you go see them, and before you, several times during the visit, if it's 5 minutes or a day with them, "I love you, Pop," and that's you can't describe that, but they know that we are there for them and would do anything within reason for them. So that's just a special blessing when you have those three boys. And we haven't talked about the other grandson, but we don't get to see him quite as close. But it's just a special feeling when you know that those are part of your heritage and part of your lineage. That the mom and dads are doing an awesome job raising them.
Fantastic. Buck, what would you say is some of the best advice your dad has ever given you?
Pop's given me a lot of good advice over the years. I'm laughing because I'm thinking about all the country sayings that are passing along through the family. But one of them, he probably didn't remember saying this. I was my first job out of college. I was going down to interview for it, and it was downtown Atlanta. And I'm wondering if he remembers it. He said, "The only thing I'm gonna tell you is don't stare up at the tall buildings." And that's very true. So what he meant was act like you've been there, act like you belong, right? You know, go down there and be confident in who you are, but you know, don't stare at the tall buildings. So my brother and I, we talk about we should start writing. We literally should start writing all this stuff down between he and his brothers and sister, and you know, all of them. There's lots of family sayings and wisdom that is intertwined in those sayings.
There is.
So there you go. Hashtag don't stare at the tall buildings.
Don't stare at the tall buildings. We're going to make that happen. That's happening.
Could be a sermon in there.
A shirt or something.
That's right.
Absolutely. Well, he's going to need a cut, so.
Oh, me.
Well, Andy, what do you think is the best piece of advice you ever gave Buck? The tall buildings is really good.
We got the tall buildings.
Hey, pun intended, that's going to be hard to top.
I don't know if we can top that one. I don't know. That's a good. I forgot about that. Actually, that is not even my original saying. But
I already messed it up.
No, you didn't mess it up. There was a young lady when I was working downtown in the corporate office in Atlanta, and she was a little more sophisticated than this old country boy was, and I was going to New York on a trip, and that was her advice. She said, "Andy, now don't show them that you haven't been to New York, so don't be staring up at the tall buildings." That was a young lady named Carol Monner that reprimanded me for being a country boy. But I don't have any specific. Just keep on being the dad that he is, and with these these 3 wonderful grandsons. Can't improve on much on that, I don't think.
Well, being a dad right now in the world is more complicated than it may have ever been in history. There's so much going on right now in this moment. What would you say to other dads out there that are struggling, that are wrestling, that are trying to figure out how to talk to their kids about coronavirus and racism and all of these things that we're kind of just wrestling with? What sort of advice would you have for dads out there?
I was having a similar conversation last week with some folks at work, and I mean, I go back to, Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. And if everybody can start there, then you can have a conversation, whether it's coronavirus and helping people in need and everything that goes along with that, or, racial injustice and everything going with that now. And really it's been going on for hundreds and thousands of years throughout human history, really.
Yeah.
But if we, go back to I guess that was the Shema, said, love the Lord your God as one. And, Jesus then said, love your neighbor as yourself. That would be, that's where we should all start.
Andy, what about you? What advice would you give to the dads out there?
Basically what we have said earlier, just if you're a dad, just to be there and let them know that you're a dad and you're human, and you're going to be with them, whether it be a sports activity or taking them to church or being around the family meal with them. Just being a dad with the family, I think, is my most important advice.
Andy, favorite moment of Buck growing up? What do you got?
Whoa, like I said, there's many, but he
most entertaining, maybe.
Okay, the most entertaining. He mentioned sports, and that we could probably write a book on the different activities with sports. But there was one basketball game that I was the coach, and he was one of my star players, as I thought, and it was total mayhem and some controversial situations out on the court. And as it turns out, we both got ejected from the league, or he did for one game. So that was kind of a most entertaining, and I had to go to the director and explain to him as I saw it, to at least get my son reinstated to play the game. So that was quite an interesting situation on a basketball court at high school as a basketball coach.
Anything you need to add to that story, Buck?
I'd like to point out that I was not the only one that was ejected.
He wasn't the only one, but it
was more like half the team. And I was ejected actually for arguing the ejection of another player.
It was.
And I might have said some other things too, but let the record reflect, I was not the only one ejected.
The correct director, was it Jesse? Jesse was our director. Anyway, I had to go make a plea.
Ended up being buddies with the referee and working with him later and becoming pretty good friends with him.
Yeah, that was an interesting. The young man who was a referee, as it turns out, Buck ended up working with him later on and good friends. No one was angry. It's just that it happened to be total mayhem.
Well, Buck, what about you? What's been one of your favorite moments with your boys?
That's tough to pick. Just one. I guess we could. Yeah.
I have one that was actually as an adult, and it's a special memory. We in later years, or my later years, started snow skiing, and then Andrew would go with us and go with me and my brother and my different people on snow skiing trips. And I think it was the very last snow trip we went together. We were on the different parts of the mountain, and it was time to come in, and Andrew and I met each other on top of the slope this happened to be, and I'll never forget it. We ended up the day going down the last slope with the cross skis together, and you can just visualize that, coming into the ski lodge with our cross skis together, and that's a special. cross poles, excuse me.
That'd have been something to do. Or
cross up the ski.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool if he can do that.
Who knows? It might, but that was a special, as they say, a 3x5 moment. You think about that. Coming down the last slope together with the cross poles, skiing back to the lodge together.
Yeah, trying to think back, just pick one moment is too hard. But there's one I remember with Jake. The first time we took him to a Georgia football game, he was might have been 2. I don't know. He could talk. He could barely talk, and he'd been perfect all day. It was just he and I riding. Actually, I guess Jana was with us that day. We're riding back, and I thought for sure as soon as we get in the van, he's gonna fall asleep. Or in the car, he's gonna fall asleep. 20 questions passed, 40 questions. I mean, Daddy, Mama, da-da-da-da. What about this? Da-da-da. So he just nonstop. And we're just looking at each other like, he's not going to fall asleep. But that was kind of a fun memory with Jake. And then, Asa and Luke, I just bringing them home. Like, coming home, and now there's 2. Plus the one that's already here. And they're tiny, right? They're 5 pounds. They're this big. And so we had just moved 2 weeks before we had them, so the house is still in boxes. Now we have twins that you're scared to hold because you're going to break them. But the adventure that started there. But then, there's lots of funny things they've said over the years, but we probably can't record those.
We shouldn't put all those.
No, we should save that for like a wedding or something.
Yeah.
Graduation, and then thoroughly embarrass them.
I tell my kids all the time, I'm saving this for your graduation. Like when I take a funny picture of them, that's what that's for.
Yeah.
What would you say, like, if I asked you, what do you hope for your boys in this world? What would you say?
I guess just to be men of God that, that love their mama. There's probably a country song in there, but that truly grow up to be strong men in their faith. That find something that they're talented in, that makes them want to get up in the morning. That they find their calling, and they're able to go and do that. I think they'll be fulfilled that way. And just enjoy life,
Seeing it from the other end, Andy, what do you hope for Buck as he continues to be a dad, to raise these boys?
It's just the same thing he said. It's just hard to add to that. Just being the daddy he is now, and continue doing the same path that he's on now to raise those 3 precious boys. That's just a hope and a dream which is coming true, and that's what you look for.
Guys, this has been great. Thank you so much just for being you. I've enjoyed seeing your family's interactions, just being around y'all and getting to see how much you love one another. And that's really what this is all about. That's what this series is about, is this idea that love is the most excellent way to live. It's the most excellent way for us to lead our families. And there's lots of attributes to it, and kindness and patience are a big part of that. But there's some other things that we're going to do too, and you guys talked about a whole lot of them. So thank you for taking the time to share stories with us and to share your lives with us. Andy, would you do us a favor? Would you pray for us and pray for all those dads that are out there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you be willing to do that?
Lord God, thank you for this day. Thank you for this meeting this afternoon with my son and talk about dads. And thank you for Adam and his love for our family, for our church. And just thank you for all of the dads out here. And we just pray that we would somehow live up to what we should be doing. But again, just thank you for the blessings we have, and for our sons and our daughters, the ones who have daughters. But just thank you being a dad. These things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Wasn't that a great conversation? Again, happy Father's Day. We're so honored to have so many wonderful dads in our church who are investing in the lives of our young people, who are caring for all of us like sons and daughters. You know, love involves a couple of things. It involves patience and kindness. Two sides of the same coin. The way that God deals with each and every one of us. The way that God longs for us, patiently waiting for us to come to ourselves, to remember whose we are, and then the kindness to give us grace in those moments, to give us goodness, to give His love, so much so that He gave His Son. In fact, Romans chapter 2 says it this way: it's God's kindness that brings us to repentance. It's God's kindness that reminds us that love can still change our lives. We come to this table to be reminded of that kindness, to be reminded of that love, to be reminded that God made the first move on our behalf. He sent His Son, who sat with His disciples on the night in which He was betrayed, and He broke the bread and He gave it to them and said, "This is my body given for you. Take and eat, and do this as often as you gather together." And then He took the cup and He held it up and He said, "This is the blood of the new covenant poured out for you and for many for the forgiveness of sins, so that you might know that kindness deep in your soul." And so we pray together. Gracious God, pour out your Spirit on these gifts of bread and wine. Make them be for us the body and blood of Christ, that we might be for the world the body of Christ, redeemed by His blood. And now, wherever you are, we want to invite you to take a piece of bread, to dip it into the cup, and to remember that Jesus has exhibited the utmost patience with us, and that His kindness is shown to us in this very meal, the grace that we receive. Take and eat.
There's a table that you prepared for me in the presence of my enemies. It's your body and your blood you shed for me. This is how I fight my battles. There's a table that you've prepared for me in the presence of my enemies. It's your body and your blood you shed for me. This is how I fight my battle. And I believe you've overcome it. I will lift my song of praise for what you've done. This is how I fight my battles. 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 This is how. In the valley, I know that you're with me, and surely your goodness and your mercy follow me. So my weapons are praise and thanksgiving. Our Father